What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Packers Report. So happy that you are joining us on this fine Thursday. Today's show, I am reacting to ESPN Plus's latest two-round mock draft. Now, if you don't have ESPN Plus, you haven't seen this yet, and that is exactly why you guys need to subscribe. Because ESPN Plus, they make you pay $120 a year for this type of content. We're just really, really great guys at the Packers Report. We just love ball. We love talking it with you guys. And so that's why we charge a total of $0 a year. So to show your appreciation, to lock us in right here, right now, don't waste another second. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's start with how the entire draft looks. A couple of surprises, couple of kind of interesting picks. Shedeur going to New York at number 3. Ashton Jeanty going at number 6 to Las Vegas. You got Walter Nolan going at number 11 to San Francisco. That one kind of surprises me. Unfortunately, Tedero McMillan and Matthew Golden are both off the board to the Cowboys and the Seahawks. And that gets us to pick number 21 by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They take a surprise, Jaxson Dart. Number 22, this one's no surprise at all, Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. He's going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, before I reveal who the mock draft had for the Green Bay Packers, you guys do one thing for me. Go ahead, get in the comment section, find this pinned comment, and let me know who would you draft in this scenario. Be Brian Gutekunst. Okay, you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. That gives you a great amount of time to look back over the board. Put your draft hat on. Tell me who you'd have the Green Bay Packers picking at number 23. Mykel Williams is the pick. The edge rusher out of the University of Georgia. A guy who is more of a projection type player in this year's draft. Not a ton of production coming from him out of Georgia. But let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. He is a potential star. And a guy like Field Yates is one who agrees with me. Here's what he had to say. The Packers had the second highest percentage of snaps in zone defense last season, 70.7%, which has more to do with their personnel limitations than coordinator Jeff Hafley's scheme preference. Teams can play more man coverage when they have a dominant pass rusher or a shutdown corner. The latter could be the move here. With guys like Texas's Jahdae Barron and Kentucky's Maxwell Hairston on the board, but let's go with Williams, who posted 14 sacks over 3 years at Georgia. Now, I will say, I do like the pick. Okay, I think Mykel Williams has the potential to be an absolute stud in this league. However, if Jahdae Barron is there, which he was in this draft, I'm not passing up on him. Like, not in a heartbeat. The clock would turn to Green Bay. I'd have his card turned in an absolute millisecond. But Barron wasn't the pick. Mykel Williams was. Let's talk about him. 6'5", 260 pounds, and this is my favorite thing about him. He's 20 freaking years old. I know a lot of you guys are watching this right now, seeing my lack of facial hair and probably saying, Joe, you're probably around the same age. Surprisingly, I'm not. I'm older than he is by a good bit, and you'd be getting an absolute stud with a ton of life left to live. Let's give you the scattering report, alrighty? The physical skill set is there, and I think a lot of people in this draft are comparing him to Trayvon Walker, who a guy, who didn't give a ton of production in college, and then when he tested absolutely off the charts, got selected number 1 overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the question still lies with Mykel, like it did with Trayvon. Will the production arrive at some point? He was used kind of in a mixed bag this past year for Georgia. A lot of times he's out on the edge of the 5-tech. A lot of times he was kind of more towards the middle as an interior defensive lineman. He excelled definitely more when he was on the outside. My grade for him is a late first round, early second round, so I do think this is a tad bit of a reach, but still I'm not that upset about it at all. Let's start with the good, okay? Good news, bad news. Let's start with the good news. He's a high-quality run stopper, and I think that's something that this team needs, alrighty? I know this team was pretty good against the run last year. However, you could always get better, and Mykel Williams brings that. His bull rush is phenomenal, right? That's where a lot of that power comes from. He could use a little bit more when it comes to his pass rushing techniques. And that's why I think if you go to the bad, the pass rushing production just simply isn't there. Not at all. 14 career sacks at Georgia. He never really played a full season snaps-wise. He was dealing with an injury this past season. It was an ankle issue. And like I said, he lacks pass rush moves. Kind of just likes to use his size, his speed, and his power to bull rush and overpower guys, which that could work in college. it's not going to work as well in the National Football League. Like I said off the top, there's a lot of projection with Mykel. People see the age, they see the traits, they see the raw speed, raw athleticism. They say, you know what? If given to the right system, given the right defensive coordinator, if given the right defensive line coach with new one here in Green Bay is DeMarcus Covington, this could turn into something. What I love about Mykel is that he came in live in the biggest moments, on the biggest stages. Georgia's two biggest games this past year were both against Texas in the regular season and then again in the SEC championship. He posted almost identical scorecards, 3 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble in the first matchup, 3 tackles, 2 sacks in the second one. So when he was needed to be his best, he was his best. And I don't hate the risk here at all. I do think it's a little bit of a risk picking him in the first round, but I don't hate it because I think he's a stud. I think he could be a potential star in this league. So coming up, I'm going to react to the second round selection that ESPN Plus's Field Yates has the Green Bay Packers picking at pick number 54. But before that, I got to shed some light on the April sub-battle because currently we are losing. We started it off hot. We've cooled down a little bit. We've allowed Bears now to pass us. It's 76-89. We're trailing by 13. That's a decent bit. So if you guys are still here, still watching, still enjoying the content, you guys haven't joined us yet, this is the perfect reason why. Let's pass our Bears channel and prove that we're the best team in the North. Round 2, pick number 54. Give me Jack Bech, wide receiver out of Texas Christian University. Riff Ram Bazoo, as they say down there. And Jack Bech is a guy that I see a lot like a Juwan Jennings. Now, you could counter and say, Joey, then why are you picking a Juwan Jennings in the second round? And I would say, yeah, that's not a bad point. However, he's a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic. He's like a supersonic version of Juwan Jennings. Here's what Field Yates had to say. One of my favorite prospects in the class. Bech is an easy separator at the top of his routes. He has excellent hands and is instinctive after the catch. He might not be the wide receiver one that Green Bay needs, but he could make a big impact on its offense. Now, this is a little high for me. Gonna admit it. But you could also say that and agree with the fact that Jack Bech is a dog. And this is exactly why I kind of, compare him to a guy like Juwan Jennings. He's just one of those guys who's impossible to bring down after he has the ball in his hands, not only because of his speed, but also just his will, his mentality, his you're not going to take me down approach to the game of football when he's got the rock in his hands. He had a really great year in 2024. 62 catches on 91 targets, 1,034 yards, 9 tuds, only 1 drop in 91 targets. The interesting thing about him is that was his best year by far. In fact, if you combine 2021, 2022, and 2023 all together, yards-wise, touchdown-wise, you're not even going to come close to what he was able to do in 2024. He was a converted tight end. He was there at LSU. Then they moved him to wide receiver when he got to TCU. And I think that's one thing that plays to his strengths because he's so physically tough. Okay, you can also kind of put him everywhere. 71.8% of his snaps were on the outside in 2024. Okay, he thrives in contested catches. He was 13 for 20 this year, which is 65%. And then also, like I said, when he's got the ball in his hands, he forced 17 missed tackles this year. 17. Absolute stud. Okay, the bad part is he's not an elite separator, which is kind of why he had a lot of those contested catches because he had trouble because of his lack of speed of separating, especially, just go routes, go get open, go run down the field. He had limited production beyond this last season like we looked at, and his long speed isn't great. He's quicker off the jump than he is, 20 yards down the field. What I think is Jack Bech needs to be surrounded to succeed. I don't know if he could come in there in this offense and in year one be this wide receiver one. And I think he kind of fits the mold of what this team already has in that group of a bunch of wide receiver twos. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. But because of that, I honestly think this might be the perfect wide receiver room for him. He's not going to be in here and be, the first or second guy that people are worried about getting covered. He's not going to be in here and go into a game and have the other team's best corner guarding him. he's going to kind of be able to blend in the shadows a little bit. And as we saw at TCU, when he's on the same team as a guy like Savion Williams, that's where he tends to thrive. So for that reasons, I think Jack Bech could be fantastic at Green Bay. Now, is he going to go out there and get you 1,300 yards? I don't think so, but he's going to give you everything he can, and he's not going to drop a lot of balls, which is the biggest thing that this team has struggled with in 2024. Take your pens out and grade this mock draft for me through the first 2 rounds. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section down below. Be harsh. Let me know what you think. We're about to get out of here, but before we do, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join us for the best coverage you're going to find anywhere else on this platform. Daily videos, mock drafts, breaking news, anything you want, you got it right here. So lock us in and subscribe.